Hi, my name is Jim Burris, and I help people who are suffering with anxiety. Typically, after they've tried just about everything else, from the conventional treatments of different prescription drugs, talking therapies. They've even tried some of the other things like supplements, magnesium. Maybe have gotten some results. A lot of people have even tried what most people would consider alternative therapies, things like acupuncture, EFT tapping, meditation, all the different potions and lotions and remedies and the things that you probably see on the different social media platforms and YouTube. And they may have given you some results, but at the end of the day, your anxiety is still there. That's that underlying fear of like, what's going on? Why does it feel like there's a lion in the room? But logically, there's no lion in the room. I suffered with anxiety for about 25-ish years, from the age of 14 to my mid to late 30s. I still remember having my last panic attack. It was in the Tampa Bay airport about 2015, somewhere in there, 2014, 2015. It's 2025 as of making this video, March. So it's been about a decade. And I don't think about my anxiety much anymore. I guess I do think about anxiety because I help people with it, but I don't think about how I used to suffer anymore. And today I want to talk to you about why those treatments are amazing, and we should be thankful that there are doctors that do have an understanding about prescription drugs and how to properly utilize them and use different, talking therapies, because there are people that get results. You may have gotten results and you've gotten some of your life back, but there's still just this underlying derealization, OCD, health anxiety, agoraphobia, all the different phobias and the different things out there that just kind of rear their panicky head from time to time, panic disorder. So I want to talk about essentially what anxiety is, how it's caused, and why those treatments may not get the results. I'm not a doctor, I'm not playing one on YouTube. I'm just here to share my story and my experience with you in an attempt to help you. So essentially what anxiety is, we have two parts to our mind. We have our conscious mind and our subconscious mind. So our conscious mind is this, like I'm consciously talking to you, I'm kind of thinking about what I'm going to say. Some of it's coming out kind of in a flow state, but I want to pick up the pen, I make the choice. That's my conscious mind. I want to do math, 37 plus 12, right? That's, 49 or whatever. You can do that with your conscious mind. The other part of your mind is your subconscious mind. We're not going to dive deep into that because that's like a whole YouTube video series. But essentially, part of your subconscious mind is your autonomic nervous system. That control, and there's parasympathetic. There's a lot to that, right? But layman's term, in a nutshell, what you need to know to have a basic understanding of anxiety is your autonomic nervous system controls things like digestion, breathing, your heartbeat, all the other functions that your body does automatically. So it's actually funny talking about breathing. Like, I just took a deep breath. I'm thinking about it, right? Because I'm making this video and I'm going to talk about breathing, but that's a natural function. If you were to hold your breath, right, you would pass out at some point, but then your body would start typically your body would start breathing again, because that's an automatic function that it just handles. Your heartbeat just beats. You don't have to sit there and go beat or think about it. If you have anxiety, you may think, my heart is beating weird, right? I used to think sometimes that my breathing, we're talking about breathing, that's funny. I remember years ago, one of the anxiety symptoms I had was actually here in Dallas before I moved. It was a really stressful job. And we had a sales convention training here. And I remember thinking I got to breathe. That was just like a symptom, right? That I dealt with. But that's your autonomic nervous system. And thank God it's that way, because you don't want somebody to walk up to you and go, stop breathing, right? And then that goes through your conscious mind to your subconscious mind, and you stop breathing. That's just not how it works. So anxiety, now there are triggers for it, right? Especially with health anxiety, you see a lump or a bump or a bruise or a pain, right? You think that it's catastrophic if you have health anxiety. But most of the time, there's those what if and those intrusive thoughts. Like, what is triggering them? Where are they coming from? Or you may not even have those thoughts. You just have that feeling of dread or doom. And I'm trying to keep this very basic. It's coming from your subconscious mind. It's essentially like a habit where things happen automatically. So I'll give you an example. If you're walking, let's just say you go for a walk today or tomorrow or at some point, and you're walking by yourself or with your girlfriend or wife or husband or whoever you're walking with, and a big dog runs around the corner and it's growling. Now, most people are going to go into fight or flight, whether you have an anxiety disorder or not. You'll go into a fight or flight response at that moment. Again, most people, unless you know the dog and he's fine. But if it's a strange dog and it's threatening, that's part of our natural survival instinct. You want to have the ability to go into fight or flight. You always want the ability to have fear for self-preservation, right? So the dog runs out. You may run. You may, I don't know, if you're in Texas, you may shoot the dog, or I live in Texas. You'll have a response, a fight or flight or freeze response. So you take off running. Now, stop and think. That may have happened to you before. But in that scenario, would you tomorrow, if that scenario presented, do you see the dog, think, okay, I'm going to run, and then run or respond in some way, fight or flight? Or do you see the dog with your eyes, or hear it potentially at first, and then see it, two sensory inputs to your conscious mind? But do you think about the dog and then run? Or do you just run? Answer the question. But there is a wrong answer, but it's not wrong if you answer wrong. It's just, I want you to think. So the answer is, and this is backed up by studies. I can't think, I'm off the top of my head, but a long time ago, it wasn't Freud, but it was, doesn't matter. I can post a link. There's been studies, like legitimate studies by psychologists and evolutionary biologists and things like that. Not just me making a YouTube video. Your brain, your subconscious mind gets those sensory inputs through your conscious mind, right? From your eyes and potentially your ears in that scenario. So that's what triggers the fight or flight response. And then there's a whole thing with, I think it's your amygdala and parts of your brain, right? How it works. The electricity and the neuron, whatever that science part is, where, it triggers your adrenal glands or whatever that term is there, and they produce adrenaline. You get a burst of energy. It floods, oxygen and blood to maybe your legs to give you power to run or to fight the dog off. That all happens automatic. And thank God that it does. That's just how we're wired. And that's how our biology and our evolution, like hereditary, I guess, however you want to say it, allows our species to keep going. The challenge with anxiety is that essentially gets turned on. There may have been a trigger for you. Oftentimes there's not. When I think about my own symptoms, I had experienced depersonalization and derealization and some intrusive thoughts before I had my first panic attack. Probably, I don't know, weeks, months. I think there were some other symptoms or manifestations that I had prior to my first like real panic attack, because a panic attack is essentially just an adrenaline dump or burst that floods your body with adrenaline to allow you to fight or flight. I remember when I was in an ambulance, I think it was the second time. I went to the hospital twice in an ambulance with panic attacks, and they were really close to each other. And the one time I remember, the paramedics in the not the van, in the ambulance, they had hooked up. I believe it's an EKG where they read your heart rate, the little thing, the beep 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 beep. And I used to carry around in my wallet. It's somewhere still in a little box of things that I have. I'd like to keep it. I don't know that I need it, but. And he's like, hey, between these two spots, you're supposed to have 2 little blips of your heartbeat. You have 5, 4 or 5. I forget what it was. And he explained you're having a panic attack. So that's a natural response. But essentially when you have an anxiety disorder, that, I don't know how to say it like in layman terms, that misfiring never gets turned off. Now, if you've tried medication or talking therapy, I know people that's worked for. It's a very small percentage of people that's actually gotten results for them. And I'm grateful for them. It's not an anti-anything. I'm never anti-anything. Doctors are amazing. Grateful for them. But with most people, that doesn't work. And one of the big reasons is, let's go back to those sensory inputs from your conscious mind to your subconscious mind. And some of them are quick, right? So you don't necessarily have the conscious thought, like, I see a dog, I need to run. But your sensory inputs from there's 5, right? So it's touch, see, taste, smell, hear, right? So you smell with your nose. So if you smell a foul odor, that triggers your conscious mind to potentially go, what is that odor? Or you may just vacate the room, right, without even thinking. So if you going back to see a bear, see a dog, whatever, see danger, a sensory input to your conscious mind, to your subconscious mind, fight or flight, or some sort of response. And you may have thoughts when those occur, but the response is automatic, and then the thoughts happen maybe simultaneously, like, holy shit, there's a dog. You touch a hot stove, you pull your hand back. And then you hear things, and then, those are the sensory inputs to your brain. That's how we experience the world, right? Through consciousness, our conscious mind, those sensory inputs into our subconscious mind. I'm just keeping an eye on the clock here because I don't want to make this video too long. And the challenge with certain therapies and drugs, prescription drugs, and I guess maybe even illicit drugs or whatever, that essentially it's a sensory input. When you take a medication, right? I take a pill for anxiety. You could potentially be unconsciously unknowing, and your doctor probably is not even. That's a sensory input that I have anxiety. It's kind of becoming your identity, and I don't want to go deep down that road here in this video. But, it could be reinforcing your brain subconsciously that I have an anxiety disorder, so I'm taking this medication. Talking therapy, you're talking about anxiety. I'm not saying therapy, please don't interpret that as me saying don't go to therapy. I think therapy is probably a wonderful thing for many people. When it comes to anxiety, I would just be open to the possibility that it may not be the best thing for you if you've tried it for months, years, decades, and you still have panic disorder, fear disorder. Is it giving you a sensory input? There's other things like tapping. I do believe tapping. I use tapping. I have one of the book here, Gary Craig's manual. Like, I'm a fan of tapping, but I don't believe that it cures anxiety from personal experience. If it's worked for you, I'm happy for you. So you just have to be mindful of the sensory inputs that you're giving your brain. your conscious mind and your subconscious mind that could potentially be reinforcing your anxiety condition to stay on, right? That's essentially what it is. It stays on. And then you continue to have the what if, the intrusive thoughts. And again, we need thoughts like that. Those are valid, and there's a difference between having an anxiety disorder and having just a thought of being like, I'd say being a good parent sometimes, like my girlfriend or like my kid's mom, and even me as a dad, like when my kids go out, I do have a second where I go, oh, be safe. Now I tell them have fun. I change kind of like the language that I use. I still care. That just means you're a good parent. But if you're constantly sitting there in fear, for your children, and again, that you're a good parent if you feel that way. That doesn't mean you're a bad person or a bad parent, but it's unnecessary. It's not serving you, and it could be causing problems with them if you're over cautious with them. And I'm not saying not to be cautious about your children, but with my own, when I think about when I had a fear disorder all the time, it was constant. What if? I mean, the scenarios were endless. With health anxiety, it was, I got a pain. That's probably stage 4 cancer, and again, it's, if you have that thought for a fleeting moment and then logic kicks in and you go, well, I'm not going to worry about it. I'll go get it checked. It's prudent to get it checked out, right? You need to do that for health reasons. But if it's that constant fear, or if it's every little thing, and then you have symptoms like derealization, and you leave your house and you get a block away and you're like, oh shit, I didn't lock the door. Now that can be a prudent thing to do, right? I've done that. Once you get your anxiety under control, you're more present. So you typically go, no, wait, I remember locking the door. You know what I mean? You just go, no, I remember physically putting the key in. Unless you're in a hurry, right? If it's a one-off thing. So I say all that to say this. If you've been struggling for months, days, years, decades with anxiety, and you're still dealing with it, and you've tried everything, it's not you. Well, I guess it is you. It's your conscious mind, your subconscious mind. But you're not broken. You're not mentally ill. There's hope. There's light at the end of the tunnel. And what I have is I'm not here to sell you anything. I've built a program called the Peaceful Mind Blueprint, and it's the name. If you look down, it's the name of this YouTube channel. And what I'm offering right now is I want to help people for free. I want to walk you through the exact steps that I learned. I didn't invent this. I didn't create it. I didn't just read a book and go, all right, I'm going to sell this shit to people and make some money. I experienced anxiety for a long time. And it impacted my life in a lot of ways. I missed out on a lot of things. And I know that it's more than a bummer, man. What's the dude from the Big Lebowski? It's more than a bummer. It's terrifying for most people. It ruins relationships, or honestly, a lot of people, you don't even start a relationship because you can't get in one, because you have anxiety, because you have what if thoughts of, oh, my partner's cheating on me, or just whatever, how that shows up. And again, not to say that those thoughts are never valid, but for, just take that, process that if that's something that you always think. There's a way out of that. And I can walk you through. I just essentially identified what anxiety is. That was a very layman's term. In the blueprint, we walk through live coaching calls. I walk you through what anxiety is deeper than this video here. We'll do Q&A, and then I lay out the exact blueprint step by step. There's nothing to buy. There's no prescription drugs unless you're taking prescription drugs from your doctor. That's a conversation for you and them. Again, I'm not a doctor. Never telling anybody. I'm never giving anyone medical advice. Just sharing my story. But I'll walk you through my story and the exact blueprint that I call it, that I use, the framework, the methodology, the step-by-step instructions, whatever you want to call it, that worked for me. And it's worked for other people. And ultimately, I'm going to sell the program. I'm going to build a coaching program, but I'm offering it now for free. It's March 19th of 2025. I don't know how long I'm going to be offering it free. My goal is to help a bunch of people, whether it's 10 people, 20 people, 100 people, 1,000 people, over the next 30, 60, 90 days, to help them, genuinely help them. No, there's no gotcha, no credit card information. Recover from anxiety and get their life back. Turn the lights back on, where you're like, holy shit, I can have a functioning relationship. I can go to the store. I don't need to medicate with drugs and alcohol, like not prescription. Again, when I say drugs and alcohol, I'm not talking about prescription drugs. I'm talking about like whatever they are for you. If you have to, I used to have to drink. I never was a big heavy, like hard liquor drinker, but I always drink. I still do drink beer, but I used to have to drink beer to calm that voice down in my head, to make the derealization go away. I remember feeling like, if I drink X amount of, I never counted them, but I would just drink beer until the freaking voice shut off in my head. I don't have to do that anymore. I can enjoy some beers with friends or family, right? And it's possible. If you're interested, if you genuinely are ready to end anxiety in your life, go in the description below. There'll be a link to, it's a video. I talk a little bit more about this. You click the button. You can put in your email and you don't have to put your phone number in, but you can. I would prefer that. I'll call you. We'll chat a little bit more, see if the program's right for you. We'll get started. I only ask two things, essentially, and only one of them is really required, is commitment, that you genuinely go, I've had enough of this, and I'm ready to get my life back, to get a life back, to get, you know what I mean? I don't know how old you are. I don't necessarily, this would work for people under 18, but I don't know that I would work with people under 18. If you have a child or a kid, not really a child, if they're a kid, a person, a young adult, under the age of 18, and you're the parent, I would be more than happy to share the information with you. It's very simple. You don't need to be a rocket scientist or a doctor to apply this information, or a psychologist. You just need to have the ability to think and reason and go, okay, we've tried everything. This is non-invasive. There's nothing to buy right now. And ever, honestly, if you join the program, you get lifetime access to any updates. And we're going to do more stuff down the road where I help people. Once you end anxiety, a lot of people start a business. They start playing the drums, or their creative side comes out, because that's kind of one of the dirty little secrets about anxiety is people that typically have long-term anxiety disorders, or whatever you call it, or your doctor calls it. You have a creative intellect that needs to be harnessed and guided and trained like a dog. If you get a puppy and they pee in the house or they poop in the house, and you train them with responsible, reinforcement and essentially a blueprint, right? You train their dog. Your mind, your brain, I guess, really needs to be trained, essentially. And we walk through all that in the Peaceful Mind Blueprint. I don't want to babble on. It's been 23 minutes. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested, click the link below. If you got value, please subscribe. Please like this and share this with someone else that could benefit from it. And I'm really looking forward to hearing your success stories and just seeing that smile on your face when you go, oh shit, I'm not broken. I'm not broken. I'm not broken. And, you apply the blueprint, the process, and, you do things that you couldn't. Not that you couldn't, that your brain wouldn't let you, that you were stopped by fear. Whether that's days, weeks, or some people might take a month. I don't know how long it'll take for you. Doesn't have to take that long. It's up to you how long it takes. Let's get started. I really genuinely want to help you. I'm actually getting goosebumps talking about it because I've been in sales for a long time, and I've had a pretty good career, and you make decent money. Sometimes you don't. And, the secret in sales is you really have to give a damn. You got to help people. I don't think there's anything on earth other than my children and my relationship with my girlfriend that I'm more passionate about than helping people overcome anxiety. Like that's no bullshit from my heart, from me to you, whoever you are on the other side of this video. So my name is Jim Burris. I help people who've been struggling with anxiety for months, years, decades overcome it. If you're ready to end it, click the link in the description below. My dogs are whining. I've been gone all day. I gotta go. We'll talk to you soon.